Today, we explain why some trades feel more difficult to profit from than others, even when market movements look the same. Volatility doesn't react equally across all markets, and many traders learn that lesson too late. In this market measures study, we show how different assets respond to price movements and what that means for premium sellers and managing risk. Stay tuned. This is the insight that improves how you trade over time.
So we're going to talk about the relationship between assets and their IV. So implied volatility, and this kind of parlays off of our option jive from earlier this morning, another really good one if you want to check out more on just all the different ways you can measure and see volatility in the platform, on the Taste Trade platform. So implied volatility reflects how sensitive an options price is to changes in the underlying asset and capturing the market's expectation for future uncertainty. So you look at the option price, that is what gives you implied volatility. When prices increase, volatility increases. When prices decrease, volatility decreases. This is just a function of the option prices themselves. As price moves, implied volatility can respond asymmetrically or disproportionately, revealing how traders adjust risk perceptions in real time. This is kind of another way to say skew. So a lot of times when you have pops and volatility, the downside skew increases. So those far out of the money puts will increase more than the far out of the money calls. In something like a silver or gold, which have gone nuts over the last couple weeks, these big moves to the upside, skew increases to the upside. And that's the asymmetric part of this equation here, is that it's not equal. The volatility change is not going to be equal on both sides of the market, or typically isn't equal on both sides of the market. And so here we're going to talk about how different asset IVs respond to changes in the underlying price. So we're going to kind of look into skew, we're going to talk about volatility, and just kind of how these things change as markets move. So the study that we have here, we recorded the price and implied volatilities of SPY, the Qs, IWM, USO, so we're using that as our oil metric, TLT for our bonds, and GLD for gold, and we looked at this since 2022. We recorded the average percentage change in IV when the price went up or down by 1 and 2%. So 1 and 2% might not sound like a lot, but today we're having about a 1.5% move, and I'm sure there's people going nuts on Twitter about a crash. This is a 1 and 2% moves are pretty big moves on a day-to-day basis. Typically with volatility at an average of around 16 to 20-ish, it represents about a 1% move. So when you're getting to this kind of upper 1 to 2%, that's kind of a outsized one-day move, not a crash, but an outsized move. So we're analyzing the relationship between price of the IV index and percentage change of IV index when there was a big move in the underlying. So if IV is high to begin with, does it move less when there is a big move in the underlying? So we're kind of talking about volatility coming from lows and volatility coming from highs as well here. So
just because we're talking about this right now, volatility starting the year was 1845. It's 1975. I'm going to round up right now. So 1975 versus 1845. The market, believe it or not, even the S&Ps were 6,900. I think they opened at 6,902. They're basically 6,900, 6,880 and change right now. So the market is unchanged for the year between friends, and volatility is up significantly in that point, which I don't think we would have been saying or thought just a day ago, a week ago. Like, you would think that volatility was probably on the down slope, a little bit of a slide, and the market was unchanged or higher. I mean, we were higher by 2%.
Well, the other way you can phrase that is that with this move in volatility, you'd expect the market to be a bit lower than basically unchanged.
That's
right?
correct.
So,
That's correct.
Yeah, I totally agree. As we speak, volatility getting smacked a little bit here, just moved about 30, 40 ticks.
Yep.
And we got a little bit of like 10-point-ish bounce here. So let's take a look at some of our findings here. So with the exception of gold, all assets have at least some inverse relationship with their implied volatility. And what that means is, market goes down, vol goes up. that kind of thing. And you typically see that with equities, specifically with ETFs in general. So SPY, the Qs, IWM, those are all going to have this inverse relationship. It gets a little bit more, a little bit less correlated when you look at individual equities themselves. And that's because there's a kind of binary nature to it. A Tesla has changing skew. Sometimes it'll have upside skew. Sometimes it'll have downside skew. It's much less uncorrelated to the implied volatility. SPY and the Qs, it's pretty much a -1. Volatility goes up when SPY and the Qs go down. Note that SPY had the largest sensitivity to its IV and USO had the lowest. What this tells you is the things like gold, TLT, USO, commodity kind of focus ETFs here, they're going to have a much more random volatility correlation. Markets as a whole, ETFs, markets go down, vol goes up. That's pretty much 1-to-1. In something like a gold or TLT or USO, it's a little bit hard to lean on that relationship, and especially when you're having outsized moves like we've seen in like gold and silver recently, that is going to be, vol is going to continue to expand into those moves.
No doubt. Well said. I don't know what, if you told me market's down 1%, I'm going to tell you volatility is going to be up. If you say the market's up 1%, I can't say that volatility is going to be up on the same proportion as the overall market. There's no doubt about it.
For sure. So next slide here. So gold is the only asset that had a strong positive relationship between price and IV. And what that means is as price goes up, implied volatility goes up. Bond and oil IV did not change when the price went up, and equity IV was inversely related. So, with gold and silver and bonds and oil, it's hard to kind of play the vol correlation. That said, these products also have this kind of the reason this volatility expands to the upside is because there is a perceived price floor. These are physical things. It's very hard to imagine gold being worth 0 or oil being worth 0 or so that kind of downside is capped here, and so you typically have scarcity volatility come into play with these assets as well.
They're commodities.
Yes.
Yes, they usually have a little something to them. The downside where they keep their value.
Yes.
Intrinsic value.
So notice that the lower IVs usually had larger sensitivity to price given a 2% move in the underlying. So here we're talking about when the underlying moves 2%, the average IV value that you're going to see here. Gold and SPY had the largest sensitivity and the lowest IV, while crude had the lowest sensitivity to the highest IV. And what this is telling you is the things that are going to have the highest volatility are going to move the most. Crude has had these huge spikes, and it comes with huge spikes in volatility as well. Whereas, SPY will have big moves, but the raw implied volatility is going to be much less, the 21 on average, versus crude where, 43 is the average, which is kind of where we're at right now in crude. Mm-hmm. And it's moving, 1% to 2% every single day.
Good.
Couple takeaways here. So since 2022, gold was the only asset that had a clear positive relationship with changes in the underlying price. So over the last couple of years, gold goes up, vol goes up. Everything else has a negative correlation. When S&P 500 goes down, vol goes up. We saw lower sensitivity between big price moves and spikes in IV if IV was already high to begin with. So when volatility is high, the change in volatility moving forward has tended to be a little less correlated to the move in the market. So the one-day down move like we have today, and who knows if it is one day, could be more than this.
Sure.
This is usually where you have the biggest move in vol. It doesn't typically continue at that same rate. This makes the case that selling...
The first move is usually the biggest move. It's on a percentage basis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And the most correlated. So the next down move, tomorrow if we have a 50-point down move, vol might not move
6%,
much.
4 to 6%. It might move 2 to 3%.
Yes, exactly. So the magnitude doesn't it doesn't correlate there. So this makes the case that selling premium in higher IV underlyings could be safer than in low IV underlyings. We've talked about this before. When volatility spikes, we don't know when it's going to mean revert, but you usually get that spike, and that's kind of the spot. For the same percentage price move, selling premium in crude oil will not go against you as much as similar trades in SPY. So selling vol in crude has been a little bit better than selling equity/ETF.
Use the mechanics, manage the risk, and if you found value here, click the playlist on your screen to see how this strategy performs in a volatile market. It's the perfect next step.